Peter is the last person on earth who should tell human rights organizations and human rights defenders what to do in the arrest of former President Duterte. He is also the last person on earth with the credibility to talk about due process and human rights. Wala kang karapatan, Alan Peter, para pangaralan kaming mga tumayo at lumaban para sa mga Pilipino sa ilalim ng rehimen ninyo ni Duterte. Habang kami ay lumaban, walang awa ninyong pinagpapatay ang libo-libong mga Pilipino kasama ang mga sanggol at mga bata. Alan Peter's defense of the EJKs and the drug war is well known. In fact, he should be one of those accused and arrested by the ICC together with Duterte. He enabled, encouraged, and goaded the deadly criminal enterprise that was a summary execution of poor Filipinos in the name of a fake drug war. Puro due process at human rights ang nalalaman mo ngayon. Pero nasaan ka noong nilabanan ko sa Senado ang kawalan ng due process at paggalang sa human rights ng mga pinapatay sa drug war? Hindi ba ikaw ang pinakaunang kumutya sa akin na bakit ko nilalabanan si Duterte? Hindi ba sinabi mo pa na kailangan pa nating pasalamatan si Duterte dahil ginawa na niyang parang Singapore ang Pilipinas sa pagpatay sa lahat ng mga kriminal at adik? Hindi ba sinabi mo ang nakulang pa nga ang mga pinapatay sa ilalim ni Duterte at kakaunti pa lamang ang mga biktima ng EJK kumpara sa panahon ng ibang mga pangulo? Hindi ba ikaw ang pinakaunang lumapastangan sa aking mga karapatan at kumalimot sa due process sa pagkatuwa mo sa pagka-aresto ko dahil sa mga peking kaso na nagawa-gawa ninyo? Asan ang due process noong tinawag mo akong spokesperson ng mga drug syndicate? Noong panahon na pinapatay na lamang sa kalsada ang mga addict at pusher, nag-ingat ka ba bago ako tawaging drug lord dahil baka bigla rin akong patayin na walang due process? Huwag kang sinungaling, Alan Peter. Sa totoo lang, wala ka naman talagang pakialam sa due process at human rights hanggat hindi ikaw at si Duterte ang biktima. The true test of standing up for due process and human rights is when the poorest and lowliest of Filipinos have been oppressed and you fought for them. Where were you during that time when the people's rights were being violated? Of course, you were on the other side, the side of those oppressing and violating our people's human rights. Huwag ka nang magdamit na human rights defender. Alam ng lahat na isa kang oportunistang politiko na naalala lang ang due process at human rights kapag kayo na ang nagigipit. Ano naman ang mali at illegal sa pag-aresto at pagdala kay Duterte sa ICC? Jurisdiction over the crime is conferred by law. What is the law on crimes against humanity, including systemic attacks on the civilian population of which Duterte is accused? There's the Rome Statute. There's also Section 17 of RA 9185 that provides that the Philippine government may choose not to exercise jurisdiction over crimes against international humanitarian law, and that instead it may allow another entity conferred with similar jurisdiction by international law to assume jurisdiction where said entity is already investigating the accused or suspect. Insofar as jurisdiction over crimes against international humanitarian law are concerned, the law is RA 9185, and RA 9185 says that the Philippine government has the option to surrender Duterte to the ICC without any judicial approval because it is a waiver of its exercise of jurisdiction in favor of the International Court, here the ICC. Kung may problema ka sa batas na ito, Alan Peter, ipadeklara mo munang unconstitutional sa Korte Suprema. Until that time, please stop lecturing and whining to us.
Let's talk about perhaps the most controversial aspect of your government's record in office so far, at least in the eyes of the international community. President Duterte's so-called drug war, between 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 dead, depending on which figures, which study you look at, including many innocent children. Senior police officers admitting to executing suspects, planting evidence at crime scenes. Is it any wonder that the Catholic Church in your country has described your government's drug war as, quote, a reign of terror?
Well, if you won't believe the Filipinos and won't believe Philippine surveys, let's believe American surveys. The PEW, the Pew, they just came out with a survey that 78% of Filipinos support the crusade against crime, corruption, and drugs. 68% believe that the drug war is actually working. Okay, why? Is it because we believe in human rights violations? Does we believe in killing people? No. The perception that was thrown to the international community was led by certain human rights groups associated with our opposition and associated with some people in the in the Catholic Church, but they did not give the international community the correct facts.
So when you said believe the US and you quote polling, I'm not disputing that Filipinos support President Duterte and support the. I'm not disputing that.
Yes,
I'm disputing the record. The US Assistant Secretary of State for Southeast Asia says we have a very sustained and deep concern that the drug war is operating outside the rule of law. The growing number of extrajudicial killings is troubling. We have raised those concerns. The US State Department, the Catholic Church, they're all just biased against the Philippines?
Yes, because the point is, Filipinos will not support human rights violations. We're a very spiritual people, whether Muslim or Christian. Filipinos believe in the dignity of life. If I ask you, Madi, how many extrajudicial killings in the Philippines in 2013 or 2012 or 2011? The minimum was 11,500. The maximum was 16,000.
Okay.
Every year, 11 to 16,000.
So let me just be clear for the record. Let me just be very clear. You, as the foreign minister of this government, your position is that a few years ago, under the last government, there were 11,000 deaths. But this year, don't believe any of the numbers about deaths. That's very convenient, isn't it?
That's not.
Everyone died on the last government. Nobody died under your government. Even the human rights groups, the US State Department, the Catholic Church have all attacked you for your record.
That's not at all the point. The point is...
other people did bad things.
No, the past administration changed the definition.
Okay.
They said it's only extrajudicial if you're a union leader, if you're a religious leader, if you're a journalist, if it's ideological. So they started reporting 50, 100, 150.
Okay.
When Duterte came in, they went back to the old definition, and anyone murdered or killed was charged against the drug war. But the opposite is happening in the country. You have 13 to 16,000 killings because of drugs, not because of the police or the drug war.
But hold on. Your own reports say 3,800 people have died in anti-drug operations.
Yes.
3,800 people?
Yes.
You think that's fine?
Killed
by who? Police officers?
By police officers.
Who've admitted that many of those killings were false killings?
No,
that they were dressed up?
That's absolutely not true.
Filipino police have not admitted that?
Absolutely true. Yes.
Filipino police officers have not admitted to any false killings?
Absolutely. There are a couple who we caught.
So they have admitted?
No, they have not admitted because they're guilty. Okay. No guilty guy would admit. There are a couple of policemen who were caught murdering and they're being charged by murder.
So every single one of the 3,500 people who was killed was a drug dealer?
Yes.
How do we know that? You didn't try them, you didn't prosecute them, you didn't charge them, you shot them on sight. That's not a democratic way of solving crime, is it?
You're absolutely saying it as if you're not on the ground. Come and look. So if I pull a gun on you here right now and you shoot me, it's your fault?
Hold on.
My fault?
No, that's not what I asked. I said 3,500 people have been killed by the police.
3,500 people.
Are they all criminal drug dealers? How do we know that?
Because
none of them were tried. Normally you arrest someone and put them on trial. The Philippines are just killing people left, right, and
center. So you mean in the US or even in any country your show is shown, if someone pulls a gun on the police, they have to bring them to court first before they fire back? The police are doing what they can.
Can we trust the Philippine police?
Yes.
The president doesn't trust them.
We don't, Filipinos...
Your president doesn't trust your police.
They
You know
don't
that,
trust
right?
the rogue police.
No, that's not what he said. Listen, President Duterte said, you policemen are the most corrupt. You are corrupt to the core. It's in your system. That doesn't sound like rogue. It's in your system.
Last time I checked, hyperbole and figures of speech are allowed.
40% of the police in the Philippines are corrupt, he says. Is that true or false?
That's his estimation. The chief of police estimation is 2%.
So who's right, the president or the chief of police? I can't believe you're throwing your boss under the bus.
I'm not throwing him under the bus. What I'm
Is the
saying
president correct
is that
that 40% of the Philippine police, it's a simple yes or no answer. Is he correct, in your view, that the Philippine police are 40% of them are corrupt?
when you make an estimation,
Is it a correct estimation?
you do not know.
Is it a
what
correct estimation?
That is his
Maybe it's 30 or 50.
That's not the point. The point is he's trying to clean up the police, and he admits
Okay, so he's
that
trying to
there
clean.
is a problem.
Fine, so there's a problem. He's
And
trying to clean up. It may be 40%, it may be a little bit less than 40%. But those same police have killed 3,500 people, and you're not saying we should trust those police?
No,
That your
we're
president
not saying
doesn't
we
trust.
should trust them. We said we should follow the law, which is presumption of regularity, but investigate.
How many investigations have there been into the 3,500 killings?
3,500.
There have been
Every
3,500
single
killings.
one of them are being investigated.
Most independent observers have said there have not been investigations
That's
of all
not
those
true.
killings.
That's not true. Independent investigators have seen the progress. It is the ideological and the biased human rights groups. They said there are 3,000 cases. They pick out 28 cases. No scientific method of picking out 28. They only interviewed the families of the death of the alleged pushers. They did not interview anyone from the government. So is that fair to you? And then they came up with their findings, generalizing the 3,000 from the 28 without interviewing the other side. And then what did their report say? That they believe that possession of drugs should be legalized. So you tell me, is that a kind of group that is there to investigate or has already made a judgment? For them, any country that does not legalize the possession of drugs is not handling the drug case properly. We've invited them to investigate. Now, let me tell you where the confusion comes in. Western countries use heroin, marijuana, and also cocaine. None of these drugs is associated with violence and paranoia to the users. It's the drug sellers who fight it out. But methamphetamine hydrochloride has been proven by the WHO, by the UN Office of Drugs Crimes, to have paranoia and
Shouldn't you
violence.
treat these people, not just shoot them in the head? You're
Yes,
cutting funding.
yes,
You're cutting funding your government to rehabilitation
That's
centers.
not true.
Yes, you are.
No, it's not. We're
From
not
$60
cutting.
million to $15 million.
That's not true.
For 2018.
That's not
what's
true.
in the budget.
It's going into the buildings, and we're putting up billions worth of drug centers all around.
Do you agree it's better to treat drug addicts than shoot them in the head?
Yes, but if they have a gun and they're going to shoot you,
all 3,500 people had
yes,
guns?
more than that.
That's not the case.
Sir,
Okay.
Maddie, come to the Philippines and see, because you're talking from space.
Thank you for watching. See you on my next video.